Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the ACT Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OG5? It's another Tuesday, and I thought I started to hear a little feedback in the background. Maybe that was you, Gordon, wasn't me.
Yeah, it was my phone. I do apologize.
That's all right. We are back on YouTube as we speak right now.
And Facebook?
And Facebook. I'm actually on Facebook right now. Gordon, you may want to hit up YouTube and manage the chat there. I'll manage the chat on Facebook. And
yeah, I tell you, the chat thing on YouTube's kind of weird because a lot of times it doesn't show anything.
Yeah, it's not like in real time.
Well, I'll say live chat, and I'm the only one in the room.
Turn your microphone
All
up a little
messages
bit.
are visible.
Because you turned it down last time because we had a guest on. So turn that up just a smidget. Not to be confused with a midget.
Or an ugga-dugga.
Oh, Jesus.
He did it again. Caused trouble. Hurt
What?
someone's feelings.
What did I say? That's
Yes, he didn't
absolutely
want to
wrong
do it.
there.
I
Yes,
said
troublesome
midgets.
people are often people in trouble. They may be
Oh.
mentally ill. Find out how you can help. Write Better Mental Health, Box 3000, New York 1, New York.
I'm going to say ugga-dugga is not problematic.
Hi, my name is Tom McDonald. Welcome to the show. If you are easily offended, then you probably should go.
Welcome to all the new subscribers on YouTube. Our YouTube channel has blown up exponentially over the last week and a half. Hopefully you guys enjoy long-form content as much as you do short-format content. You know, people always talk about me, but they don't know what. Anyhow, people always kind of ragging on TikTok, but it's kind of like when Facebook blew up and everybody was on MySpace.
And everybody's ragging on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. And then everybody made the transition. Well, TikTok.
I see you did it again.
TikTok has hit the marketplace so bad that after to find people over Meta, after Zuckerberg was having a meeting about the $200 billion they lost in their stock,
Yeah, but their stock's still over $200 a share.
he basically sent a message out to his programmers saying, focus on short videos, focus on the video format, get reels up and going, i.e. compete with TikTok.
Well, does that ever really work out for anybody when they try to pivot to keep up with the newest and latest and greatest fad?
No, but who's running scared is the people who held the corner of the market on video formats for the last decade, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
There's been people who's tried like YouTube and then Rumble's out there now, but YouTube has held the market on the industry technology of uploaded and streaming video. Even though, interestingly enough, they were kind of late to the game on the live stream format, but they offer that as well now too. But because so many people are getting their video consumption through TikTok, and like we said, Instagram and Facebook's trying to compete by pushing reels, which is funny when you go on there. Most reels are just people's re-uploaded TikToks. And but YouTube is pushing their shorts hard. I upload content to YouTube twice a week during the summer times, 3 times a week, depending on the fishing. And we would slowly build, and then YouTube started pushing these shorts. They push them out on the news feed, out on the trending, you know. And so I just kind of did jokingly what I said people are doing on Instagram, which is I'm just reposting my TikToks. And we've gotten like 250 subscribers over the last week just from posting my shorts. I got one stupid video up there, I think, is at 32,000 views over the last 2 weeks. And so I don't think it's so much that the content's that great. I just think that YouTube is kind of like doing everybody else, and they're just putting all their eggs in the short video basket, and so they're pushing out your videos onto people's timelines more than they are your long form stuff. And so with all that being said, I don't know if the short format audio video people watch long-term live streams, but for those of you who are new to YouTube, if you're tuning into the show for the first time, welcome. And I hope you're having a good time. Ugga-duggas are a unit of measurement, according to Morgan Long.
And I say it's actually a unit of torque. It's when you go to wrench on something, you got to ugga-dugga, right? Or if you're bending a box offset, it's just an UGA.
What is the exact unit of measurement? Is it a half a crank, a quarter of a crank? Is it with or without leverage? Do you need a pry bar to get the official UGA?
I think the UGA Dugga is at least at least a socket, or maybe even a breaker bar on it.
I got you. Speaking of technology, little update on the last few episodes where we've been talking about NFTs and that house in Florida, which we're confused on how a house can be an NFT because we're old white dudes and we don't know all this stuff. And NFTs were originally basically a way to purchase original digital format of something.
Speak for yourself. I don't have as many grays.
Like the first tweet from the guy who created Twitter, or somebody who owns the original format of some famous GIF or a meme, and then things started coming down the pipeline, and now they're basically digitizing a deed to a house and selling the house as an NFT, which, by the way, I saw that house. It's basically looks like a Ohio ranch house. It's definitely not worth the money they paid for it. Completely overinflated the price because it has the NFT strapped to it. And I bring this up because you mentioned that, well, two things. You mentioned in the COVID episode of South Park, they're talking about how NFTs are a pyramid scheme, and I guess they did a whole half an episode on how NFTs have just flooded the market and they're just garbage. I didn't see that, but we're kind of talking about, has NFTs jumped the shark? They're no longer what they meant to be in such a short period of time. Well, I came across this article over the week. It says NFT marketplace halts transactions due to rampant counterfeiting.
Imagine that.
Cent, C-E-N-T, is an American NFT marketplace best known for hosting an auction of an NFT from former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey's very first tweet, as we just talked about. One of the earliest NFTs to sell for over $1 million worth of cryptocurrency. Cent has now had to halt most transactions taking place there, with its CEO Cameron won't even try, telling Reuters that users trying to sell counterfeit digital assets were rampant. Well, what exactly is a counterfeit digital asset? It kept happening, he said. We would ban offending accounts. My microphone sounds like it's crackling for some reason. Maybe it's just my headphones.
On this end, it sounds fine.
But it was like we're playing a game of whack-a-mole. Every time we'd ban one, another one would come up, or three more would come up almost immediately. Users of Cent were selling NFTs based on images they did not own the rights to, or even selling copies of other NFTs. Basically, they're taking screenshots, downloading photos, and all that stuff. While Cert has 150,000 users, the same problem has been happening over at other NFT outfitters and marketplaces like OpenSea, which currently is the largest NFT marketplace in the world. OpenSea recently put place a 50-item limit on its tools for free minting of NFTs since, as was explained on Twitter, over 80% of the items created with this tool were plagiarized works, fake collections, and or spam. OpenSea moved to limit after complaints from users. Summing up the current state of NFTs, we realize that there are a lot of it's just money chasing money, or is a catch phrasing of idle game marketplace. I like the hypothesis that some people are putting out there. It's just a giant money laundering scheme.
Oh, absolutely. And then, the challenge and the gauntlets thrown out there for crypto to create. I'm sure there's some hackers out there trying to find a way to create phony crypto too. Maybe a little tougher putt, but I'm sure there's some people working on it.
Now, are all crypto created equal?
I still don't understand the mining. It's based on, and I'm speaking out of mostly ignorance here.
When it first came
mathematical problems and
yes, when it first came out, I was talking to our stepbrother who was an insane level computer programming. Freaking one of those cats, and he was explaining he got in early on crypto farming, and as it was explained to me, the whole thing started, I guess, two engineers were big train collectors, computer engineer, not train engineers, and I guess one of them lived in Japan and one of them lived in Europe or even China, and something had to do with sales tax and this and that they created cryptocurrency, and it has to do with when you're data mining. At least the original Bitcoin version was, as you said, I guess they're mining, trying to solve super next to impossible math equations.
Yes.
How that math equation equals to a value of currency. But I guess you can't say that because we're not on the gold standard, and our money basically doesn't represent anything of value other than debt.
Actually, I heard, let's stop right there. I heard an interesting story about this. I forget who Joe Rogan was talking to, but he actually has an interesting theory that back in the 70s, maybe even earlier, when we were working with getting oil from Saudi Arabia, that they made them go to the United States dollar, and that's actually kind of in a way our standard. It's still a commodity. It's not gold. It's oil.
Yeah, I guess at some point every once in a while when OPEC gets pissed at us, they threaten to no longer trade or back oil in American currency. They threaten to go to other currencies, which would then basically lose our value. Because as you just said, some people say our value comes from debt, but apparently it's really wrapped up in that is the official trade value that oil deals in, I guess. I don't know. Way above
it's all
my
above
pay grade.
me, man. It's hard to know even what's true. So
Half air impact. How many times the wrench hits the limit? Morgan Long's still going about your unit of measurement.
well, I've never seen it used for an impact wrench, but I've always seen it as an effort to turn something.
I gotcha.
Tighten down that bolt. Okay, we're good.
Did you watch the Super Bowl? Being a natural-born Covingtonian? What is a natural-born Covington called?
Born in Covington, but grew up in Boone County.
But being from Boone County and even Columbus, Cincinnati Reds.
I did watch the game.
And the
Yes.
Bengals were our teams of birth. I wouldn't say our teams of choice, but our teams of birth. And I was talking on a TikTok live stream a few days ago that I remember when we lived in Florence and the Reds weren't doing good at all, that we would get free Reds tickets at the elementary school for perfect attendance or whatever. I remember when I got a pack once or twice, and that's when we'd go to the Reds games. And I remember I went to a Cincinnati Bengals game with Dad maybe once or twice. But, they had a long run and a long drought. I mean, the Reds were good in the late 70s with the Big Red Machine, but, when we were growing...
They had a run in the 90s, too.
But the Bengals...
80s.
The Bungles, as we so passionately called them, surprised everybody with a trip to the Super Bowl. And I'm not a football guy. I did turn it on, but I found myself editing video through most of it. But I had it on.
Did you at least watch the commercials?
I tried to, but there wasn't anything that really stood out to me. Just back to the game real quick. I watched a halftime show. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, I guess.
They played it safe with Eminem's safest song, didn't they?
Well, Carrie's like, he only did one song, because he only had one song that was suitable for radio play, unless you want to come off his last couple albums.
I mean, they even censored him. I knew he was coming out when he said, "Don't forget about motherfucking Dre."
Yeah.
I knew that part he was coming in, but yeah, the only one I didn't know was Kendrick Lamar.
No.
I had to kind of look that up. I was like, "Who's that short fucker up there?"
Well, the funny thing is
Didn't care about his rapping.
when we get old, we talk about how new kids' music suck, and our parents talk about how our music sucked, and their parents talked about so on and so forth. And there is some truth to that. I mean,
There's that never-ending cycle, but to be fair,
we've talked about it before, and there is some truth to it, because back in the day, like back in the day, like freaking 1700s, if you wanted to play music, you had to learn how to play a 2-string uke and some weird instruments from the Middle Ages, and you had to learn how to read music, and that's kind of when they started developing music. And then as time went by in the 30s and 40s, if you wanted to play in a band, you had to be in an orchestra. You had to learn how to read music and play an instrument.
get into swing.
And then rock music came out, and with Elvis, and even before Elvis, my ding-a-ling-o, Chuck Berry and people for him, they started changing up the way music plays, and so you could say, well, that music was a little bit easier to know how to play than the stuff from the playing trumpet and all that. And then, of course, the 70s and 80s come along, and then we get power chords, which takes a little
or watered down synth music.
watered down. Well, the 80s you get watered down synth music. On the heavy metal side, you got power chords. If you actually know how to read music, you're propped up and talked a lot about. So a lot of people in bands can't physically read music; they just play the notes. I'm not talking down. I'm just saying through the progression. And to fast forward to now, where you don't even have to know how to play an instrument, you just got to have a sense of time and skills with the computer.
Well, I will say this about the 90s. I think we had the biggest variety of music out there.
Mm-hmm.
If it could exist, it did exist.
Yeah, you had the scroll nut zippers playing that 40 swing music. You had the punk, you had the grunge, you had the rock, you had the folk music, all the way around.
Hip hop, you name it.
Kind of what I'm getting to is the I think the Super Bowl unintentionally proved the point that in the hip hop rap genre, because if you notice, they said hip hop and rap.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of music from a Kendrick Lamar and modern day rap or hip hop compared to the stuff from the 90s and early 2000s is, just the quality of lyrical content, the quality of the music.
Stupid auto tuning still going on.
It was like you almost got a nosebleed going from 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, and even Macy Gray. Was that Macy Gray? No. What's her nuts? Anyhow, the other chick. And then when he started doing his thing, I was like, oh, wow. That came to a screeching halt.
There's a whiplash
and,
moment.
As far as talent, musical content, lyrical content, and quality of sound production, and whoever wrote his background music.
Did you see what the sashes said that his singers are wearing?
Dre Day?
Dre Day, yeah.
And it was
that was interesting. I couldn't.
I was caught up with the facts like, well, clearly compared to the other ones, their music's trash. That's why they all came out of cardboard boxes. But what I think is funny is
it was an interesting stage, though.
Everybody's me being the cynic, I'm watching them dance, and I'm like, there's somebody off stage left who's yelling, "Get the fuck off the hood of my Impala." Do you notice that? The one Impala down on the left, two different people are dancing on the hood. It's like, you're dating it, it's the 60s.
That or it was the only Impala they were allowed to dance on.
Maybe it was a prop. It was,
it didn't have an engine in it.
Because there was only one that they were dancing on the hood on, and that was the one on the far left. Maybe it was a prop, because every time I see, you'll see videos where people are standing on hoods of cars or roofs, I'm just like, you're dimming the shit out of that. But back to the thing I found funny the following day is people are mad dogging 50 Cent for gaining weight. Because he used to be ripped and built, but he was ripped and built when he was in his late 20s and 30s. The dude's late 40s, maybe early 50s. And yeah, he put on some weight, but he's still pretty stacked. But furthermore,
he still could pick himself up and hang himself from that bar nice and easy.
And I'm seeing people. I saw a meme where he was hanging upside down in like a Chinese restaurant or some shit, and it's like, I would like to see the people.
The source of COVID.
Well, no, but they're kind of saying, "Oh, he gained weight. He must be hanging out and eating shitty food." But it's like,
no, he's our age.
But not only that, and for our age, he's still stacked it. But it's like, I want to see the people who are making fun of him. How many of you guys who are making these memes, who are talking shit, talking about how 50 Cent got fat? How many pounds overweight are you? I mean, the guy can probably still outbench you and probably has way more stamina, can probably spend more time on a treadmill than anybody who's talking about how much weight he's gained.
Right. So I'm a fan of Dan Crenshaw, but he made a post that I didn't quite agree with, and it was nice to see the elder millennials get their time at the halftime show, and I'm thinking, all these guys are my age or older. They're not elder millennials unless he's talking about Kendrick Lamar. It just is a little weird in my opinion.
Maybe what he was saying was when those artists were popular, that the elder millennials were early teens, and that was the shit maybe they're listening to in middle school.
It could be.
Because I was in high school when Eminem came out. Obviously, Dr. Dre's been around a lot Dr. Dre's run a lot longer than that, but 50 Cent came out right around. Eminem kind of brought 50 Cent out, but
I know the guy's missing an eye. I'm half blind in the other, but
who's that? Oh, Dan Crenshaw. Yeah, but Yeah, I was watching. I was like, wow. When Kendrick Lamar came out, I was like, oh, well, yep, that's a reminder how shitty modern day hip hop is. And that's why we old fucks don't listen to it. But back to the commercials. Well, real quick, back to the football game. The Bengals did what the Bengals do, and well, they lost. But it was
Well, they lost, but they actually played really well. Now, there was a shitty call at the end with the holding, but they actually benefited from a shitty call where a guy pretty much face masked old boy on the Rams and then took off.
that was some analysis I heard today. Well, it's like, well, if you want to really scream and cry about the shitty holding call at the end, once you would have rolled back and pulled a penalty on the fact you just about decapitated a guy face masking that they didn't call a penalty on, it would all been a wash. So it would all came out.
But you know what? They were predicted to be skunked, and they weren't.
Yeah.
I'm glad they had a good showing. I'm hoping they build on it. I mean, it's Cincinnati. I expect them to fuck up. That's when I went into the game. Hey, I hope it's going to be your team's year. I was like, no, I expect them to fuck it up at any point in time. And there you go.
Two signs that you know you're getting old. When you see a cop and you feel like they're children, and when you see the kicker and the quarterback for the Bengals, and you're like, is that dude in high school? I mean, they're like, holy shit, I'm getting all these. I mean, they look like they're 15. They look like babies. And same with cops. I'm seeing so many cops now. It's like, I haven't been pulled over in a while. I would have such a hard time having some baby face, like, trying to push authority over on me.
Respect my authority.
I mean, you have to respect them, but it's like, yep, you're definitely getting older now. That athletes are one thing, but like cops and people of authority, and not like even some of these politicians, like the coaches. The fact that the coaches for the Bengals and the Rams are like in their 30s, it's like, yeah, I remember seeing, you know, these older, what we thought were older coaches because they looked old to us because we were younger, but it's just that weird.
It's amazing how your perspective shifts as you get older.
It's that weird transition.
Yes, it is.
Do we not have a handle on our dairy and our food testing and all that stuff?
Huh?
Why are we still having weird outbreaks? Are we not testing our foods?
What kind of outbreaks are we talking about?
Right before the show started, I swiped left, not on the dating app, but on my phone, because I Android, if you swipe far left, they give you news feeds from when they listen to you. This one, I guess, maybe because the name Florida's in the headlines. Ice cream recall in Florida, other states due to possible listeria contamination. Dateline New York, WWTI. Ice cream products that were sold in multiple states, including Florida, have been recalled due to potential listeria contaminations. I'm not sure what listeria is. I remember, I think the last time we had this outbreak, wasn't it like in broccoli or some shit? According to the United States Food and Drug Administration, the Royal Ice Cream Company, Inc. has expanded its recall to include all products manufactured in facilities in question. All affected products will have the manufacturing plant numbers of CT-121 or CT-Pound-121. The affected ice creams were distributed in retail stores in Florida, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, Louisiana, Texas, and New Hampshire. The affected brands that were manufactured at this company includes... Now, this is a nice little peek behind the curtain. And you and I know this about sunglasses, right? Oh, man, I got to get these Costas, man. They're $150 to $200. They got the best lenses, the best frames. Oh, I got to get Arnett's. I got to get Oakley's. When most of them are manufactured by one of two plants.
Yeah, but the materials are going to be used is different between the good and the bad.
Sure, to an extent. But a lot of it is...
it's true.
A lot of it is brand name, though.
Yeah, I mean, if you wear a pair of Jankees and a pair of Oakleys, you could definitely see your vision's clearer. It's not distorted.
Sure.
Et cetera, and it fits better.
But all these ice cream brands are produced in the same manufacturing facility. Batch brand pints of all flavors, not familiar with them. Royal Ice Cream brand half-gallon pints, cakes, and all specialties. Ronnie Brook, sounds a lot close to Donnybrook. Ronnie Brook ice creams of all flavors. New Orleans ice cream flavors. A lot of these must be regional places. Maple Valley ice cream of all flavors. Art creams. Sweet Scoops yogurts. This one is clearly Italian. Gelato Fiasco. Biggie Iggy's ice cream sandwiches, Munson chips.
Gotta get myself some Biggie Iggy.
I like Munson chips. That reminds me of what was the Woody Harrelson movie, the bowling movie? Oh, Kingpin.
Yeah.
I'd rather be Munsoned out here than. So the Munson chips, the Giffords ice cream sandwiches, Chewy Louie ice cream. So we went from Biggie Iggy to Chewy Louie's ice cream. Snow Witch ice cream and Newport Creamery, Crazy Vanilla, Van and Chalk HG only. The recalls were initiated by the Royal Ice Cream after the FDA sampling revealed the presence of Listeria. So,
What's interesting is I've never heard of any of those brands.
no, me neither. Now it feels like Blue Bunny. Then you say, okay, clearly that's Walmart.
Or
So,
Blue Bell.
so are these like? I wonder if these like those brands that are still like in your Audis and your Piggly Wigglies and your lesser known chains. Maybe your Dollar Generals.
Maybe they're like boutique ice creams that's all produced in the same place.
I mean, a lot of, with the exception of,
I mean, they didn't throw out
Chewy
graters.
Louie.
They didn't throw out handles.
with the exception of Chewy Louie, Giffords ice cream, and Biggie Iggy's, a lot of these are just generic ass. Like you could almost see the white ice cream that just says ice cream on the front of the box. Art cream, white box, black
You're going
font.
to get big art cream, and I'm mad at you now.
No illnesses have been reported related to the effect of Royal Ice
Your
Cream products.
sponsorship.
Those who have purchased any of the recalled products are urged to return them and place a purchase for a full refund.
Well, you know what's interesting about these food recalls, and it actually leads into the something you triggered something I wanted to bring up. Is that by the time the recall goes out, the food's already been consumed, usually by weeks previous.
Yeah, and it's like,
So you want me to crap it
the
out
fact
for
that
you?
they've already, and it's like I opened this up saying, well, don't we test our food? Well, the FDA had tested the plant, but after the shit had already been sent out, a little too late, maybe, quite possibly.
Absolutely. Well, check this out. There's a local restaurant here in Vegas where the police are investigating reports of adulterated food at a local Thai restaurant. Now, you may be into this one. I don't know. I know your former co-host would.
Adulterated.
Adulterated. So detectives with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, or Metro as we call it, are investigating allegations that a local restaurant has served adulterated food.
What exactly is
to
an
the department.
adulterated food? Is
Well,
that
you're
liquor in
about
it?
to find out. So Metro said it had received multiple reports that a restaurant in the 5700 block of Centennial Center Boulevard served tainted food. What could it be tainted
tainted
with?
food.
Multiple people have contacted, this is through KNTV 13, Action News, over the weekend to report that they experienced hallucinations and other adverse effects after eating at Secrets of Siam. I think we know what the secret is. A Thai restaurant located in Centennial Center. So what they're saying is this lady, she showed up and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. She was feeling dizzy. She's kind of fainting. She said, well, can you run a drug test? They said, we don't have to. Your system's loaded with THC. So somebody was spiking the food with weed.
But for what reason? Because that shit's so expensive. See, that's the thing.
That's what I thought too. But the other thing I thought is they automatically tested her for THC without her knowledge, and then they didn't bring it up and maybe make a correlation.
Yeah, because like I used to think about that back in the days. Like, oh, peer pressure. You know, the whole DARE program was founded on it, and they would show these commercials back in the '90s and the '80s where, you know, little Timmy's trying to be cool and all the other kids around and take it. You gotta take it, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, drugs are expensive. I've
Exactly.
never known anybody who got pissed off, personally insulted, or angry that you didn't want to consume their expensive narcotics, thus meaning there's less for them, the ones who paid for it. So it's like, when you hear these stories about people spiking stuff with drugs, it's like, doesn't that shit cost money?
I think some cook left his jar of bud right next to some spices, and somebody got confused. But this lady said she was terrified. She thought she was going to die.
Lightweight.
She said she picked up the order from Secret of Siam on Friday, and about 40 minutes after eating her to-go curry, she said something wasn't right. I started to feeling really, really heavy and disoriented. I started feeling like I was going to pass out, and my heart was racing. Vanden Koy has a serious heart condition, so her husband, already. So her husband rushed her to the emergency room. She said the doctor fears she's having a stroke.
But here's the thing.
She ended up there for 24 hours getting CT scans, MRIs, getting ultrasounds of her carotid artery, and an echogram. But after reading posts on social media sites that accounted similar things happening from that restaurant, she, who's not a drug user, questioned her doctor. She said, "Hey, will you test me for drugs? Because I think I know what's happened." And he said, "We don't need to. When you came in, you had high levels of THC." So my question is they're already testing for that?
Maybe when they did their blood draw, they just did a full panel on it.
Must have, but
well, and it would have to have been. Do you think maybe it was obviously someone spiked it? Okay, well, let's just rule that out. But I can't see someone back there, because when I worked at K-Rock, we gave away some of those magic butter machines.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people who used them. And in order to create that butter, it takes an inordinate amount of ingredients, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And so for that many people to get that effed up, if you were to use the natural ingredients, know what I mean? It would have taken so much that the entire restaurant would have smelt of it, right?
Well, here's the deal.
So I'm speculating maybe somebody, as a joke, as a goof, as a spitefulness, did straight vape juice version of it.
Or they just picked up the oil from somewhere. Yeah.
I was going to say they
Or the butter
didn't
from
use
somewhere.
the fresh ingredients. They had to use.
Somebody went to a dispensary and got some stuff.
Yeah, that had to have been the oil or the vape concentrate equivalent of it, because the amount of flour I would have taken, the whole place would have smelled like it when they were boiling it down into the food.
Yeah, I'm sure it was already pre-produced, and it almost makes you think a TikTok video is going to pop up somewhere, and somebody's like, "Yeah, I'm going to play a joke."
Yeah, and then you're going to get arrested for.
And now that's going to be the
poisoning
newest trend
people.
amongst restaurant workers, right? An expensive one.
Woman's Blaming Men to Women, episode 15.
Oh,
Men are the first
wrong
one.
button. Damn it! I found a funny one today, but anyhow, well, I might as well get into that since I kind of started giving that away. We ain't done one of these in a while.
I think I've seen hers.
And now
before.
for the What's in Your Head podcast TikTok lesson of the week.
Woman's Blaming Men to Women, episode 15. Men are the first ones to say, "I got it taken care of," before they have even mildly begun to figure it out. But rest assured, they will figure it out. Now, we all occasionally fly by the seat of our own pants. Men are pilots, absolute aerospace engineers of by the seat of their pants flying. You know how often a man will pull into his driveway just in time for his wife to text, "Hey, did you pick up that rock salt?" And he'll go, "Yep," as he's pulling back out to go get that rock salt. Is he lying? Yeah, but that's all because your peace of mind is the most important part of the plan. The plan that he does not have, but also totally has. And that tends to frustrate us as women because we tend to be way more type A than men, and we like to have things a little bit more planned out. But people confuse men's not having a plan with not being prepared, and those are two different things. Ironically, the way men do prepare is by preparing for nothing to go according to plan. You know, the one thing us women don't plan for. So you'll notice that when we are getting frustrated because nothing's going according to plan, he's taking it like a champion because he never planned for anything to go right in the first place. Therefore, it's all going according to plan.
Why
It's
does it have to be
actually
a
kind of
tongue
annoying
twister?
how men have not figuring things out all figured out.
And this has been the What's in Your Head podcast TikTok lesson of the week.
So I'm guilty of, hey, you need to stop here on the way home, and I'll start talking to mom or somebody on the phone, and I'll pull into the house. I'm like, fuck.
That
And
usually
then I have to backtrack.
That usually happens when I'm talking to you, because your body basically goes in autopilot.
Exactly, 100%, which is something our grandfather used to do when he'd start talking in the car. We'd just sail right past Ryle Road. You know, he did that a few times. I'm like, yeah, that's where we get it from. But yeah, I think it is a male thing all in all, because we go into autopilot when we start blabbing on the phone, which maybe means we should be paying more attention to the road anyway.
Absolutely. What's up, everybody jumping into the Facebook? It's
Yeah,
definitely
look at
been
that.
a while.
Had 6. I guess it was the OG 6 after all.
So, Mike, I was on my way home, and Mike called me because he got a new truck,
Yeah.
and he wants to put his kayak in it instead of putting it on the top of his old car. He's like, "Hey, man, let's go fishing." I'm like, "Hey, man, it's 18 mile an hour winds." He's like, so we went out fishing.
You'll be paddling against it at some point too.
Yeah, right before the show. I only caught like 3. He caught like 4, but it was a good time all around. But yeah, so we went out fishing before the show, and he's in here now. And so shout out to Mike. We talked about the truckers last week. We talked about how GoFundMe was going to hold their money back, and then Florida threatened to hit them with a fraud investigation. And so
But then Trudeau doubled down.
They quickly turned around, and then Trudeau doubled down. And apparently, that when people started going to GoFundMe and they threatened to hold their money, everybody went over to a new crowdsourcing site. I don't know how new it is. One I've never heard of called Give, Send, Go. Are you familiar with this one?
Nope.
Well, apparently, when people got word that GoFundMe was going to hold the money instead of paying it out to the truckers, or they were going to donate it to a charity of their own choice, people started going to this Send and Go. Well, guess what? TD Bank freezes $1.1 million donated to the Freedom Convoy supporters to crowdfunding site, but Give, Send, Go CO says he will defy Canadian court orders to stop distributing the funds to protesters. The Canadian bank has... Wow, my entire Microsoft Word document just went blank. Oh, there it came back. The Canadian bank has frozen $1.1 million in donations to the Freedom Convoy protesters through crowdfunding platforms as an anti-mandate movement drags into the third week. A Toronto domain bank, i.e. TD Bank, made the move after the Ontario Supreme Court of Justice issued an order barring the dispersal of convoy donations made through Give, Send, Go, which has raised more than $9.2 million. So I guess out of that 9.2, 1.1 ended up into one of their bank accounts. TD... And my computer's shutting down, so that's fun. Hit cancel. I don't want it to shut down. Cancel.
Yeah, bring the show to a screeching halt.
Well, it would still... No, TikTok's running through the other one, but my recording... So apparently, crap. Let me.
You got an update, don't you?
No, apparently my heel tapped the power button, so I had to start recording on Audition. For those of you listening at home, welcome back. We just had a snafu. I'm not going to go back and edit that later. But anyhow, back to the story. TD has asked, Toronto-based bank has made a move after Ontario Supreme Court Justice issued an order barring the dispersal of convoy donations made through Give, Send, Go, which has raised more than $9.2 million for convoy supporters. TD has asked the court to accept the funds, which were raised through crowdfunding and deposited into personal accounts at TD. So out of the $9.2 million, I guess $1.1 million landed up in bank accounts at the Toronto Dominion Bank, who then put a freeze on it.
Well, what's amazing is Trudeau is threatening to freeze the bank accounts of any trucker.
Yeah, it's insane. I know they're already moving trucks.
That's why we got guns.
It's just like, at what
That's why we got freedoms in the Constitution of the United States.
But at what point do you just let your ego go, right? Because this is an ego pissing contest at this point.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got the CDC, which isn't a government body, finally coming out saying, hey, masks don't do anything. This is kind of dumb. And just Trudeau just doesn't care. And today I heard that he has pulled the trigger to use some backdoor loophole policy that the Canadian government has.
The emergency declaration.
Yeah, so now he basically, if he pulls the trigger on this thing, he has end-all be-all power, which I think is probably meant to be used during wartime, not something like this. And so it's just, it's scary. And this kind of goes to what I've said in the past. We were talking about cryptocurrency at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cryptocurrency is the way of the future because it's not regulated by government yet.
Or the big banking industry.
Will be, but not yet.
Yeah, just give it time.
And we're all kind of forced into this. None of us have cash because everything's direct deposit. Everything goes through, your apps, yada, yada, yada. And the only reason I have cash on me today, for some reason, both of the slots of the ATMs at Bank of America were covered up with cardboard so you could not deposit cash into the ATM. But I got to remind myself sometimes, and maybe I need to start focusing more on cash spending. I've got fruit fly here, it's driving me nuts. Cash spending and less on relying on technology because, perfect example. Let's say in the utopia of the future that all the young cats want, we get rid of paper currency. Everything's digital. Everything's debit card, cryptocurrency, Venmo, whatever. Okay, well, you live in a place like Canada. We got a borderline dictator running things. I don't agree with your policy. Or China with their social credit score, right?
It's easier to shut you down.
Don't like what you're saying on TikTok. Don't like what you're saying on Facebook or the app of the future. We're going to freeze your accounts. And since we've gotten rid of paper currency altogether, you don't have a choice. Got you by the balls. All more reason that we need to keep paper currency. Kind of like how I say on the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast. Look, you guys want digital books? Have at it. Digital fiction books all day long. We need to keep our history books in paper format. Why? Because it's way too easy to go into a digital copy and delete some shit that the government or the people in power at that particular time doesn't like, whereas you can't go to every house, pull out books, and start tearing pages out of it.
Yep, PDFs aren't safe. You can edit them too.
Yep. Everything can be ripped up and reformatted.
And it's just like we brought up before, you brought up before, hey, gold, the regular currency is no good, so we'll sell you this cryptocurrency for real currency. We'll sell you this NFT for real currency. We'll sell you this gold because it's going to be worth so much more for legitimate.
All my soundboards
currency.
Closed out. My computer would have rebooted, but I hit cancel, but not before my soundboards closed out, or I'd play that commercial you're talking about. And I need the soundboards for the next thing. So, but yeah, I always hear, when I hear those, I always laugh. It's like, paper currency is garbage. There's going to be no value. All the value in the future is going to be in silver and gold. That's why we want to trade you our valuable silver and gold for your worthless paper currency. It's like, well, how worthless is it going to be that you, the holder of all the valuable shit, want to trade it for my worthless shit?
Hey, wait a second here. Something's not adding up.
Yep, little weird, don't you think?
Yep. Hey, did you see that picture I sent you of the streetlight?
Yes. Hold on. Nope. No. Oh, wow. Oh. Even Splashtop disconnected from the other computer. I actually have it set up so we can all view it in its glory. Hold on, I'm trying to play catch up, but go ahead and start explaining your photo, and I'll pull it up here momentarily.
So this photo is a nice brand new LED streetlight.
That's
LED
brand new. It don't look
yeah.
brand new to me.
Oh, it is brand new.
Brand
Sits in front of my
spanking?
house. But out here, you can call in what they call light trespass.
There it is right here for everybody to see. Now, did you put that
Take
duct
a look at
tape
that.
screen on it? It's got like some
No.
homemade duct tape visor on it.
That's exactly it. That right there, folks, is the work of Clark County, Nevada.
So was that their solution to keep their light off your property?
Well, I'm hoping it's only temporary right now because there is a supply chain issue, and so we have this thing. It's called Fix It Clark County. You go on there, you could get a light trespass.
Some guy.
And I know people are like, well, don't you want the security of the light shining in your yard? Well, when it was high pressure sodium and it was kind of a yellowy pinkish light, it matched or was close to the lighting I have in the backyard for ambiance. And also it wasn't as nuisance when I'm using the hot tub. When they put that thing in, I got this bright white LED shining down into my hot tub and backyard and just kind of throws off the ambiance. And yes, ambiance is important in a backyard, though I got a road right next to me with loud exhaust. So I had called in and I put in a post and, hey, light trespass, can you take care of this? It was 2 months. You could see it moving up the chain, and then all of a sudden it went quiet for 2 months. And then I posted again, hey, what's the status of this? And I got a response that says, hey, we're handling 60,000 streetlights in the Vegas Valley,
And
all the new construction. We'll get there when we can. And then a week later, this went up.
somebody showed up at work, got an email, went out to the warehouse, went to the cardboard box dumpster, and then went over to the pile of street lamps that they haven't put up yet, got out the old taperoo and measured the width, and then said, okay, I think about 8 inches down should be good enough.
And it does a fair job.
Got out the roll of duct tape.
It performs well, but it's one, not UL listed, and their inspectors would bust any electrical contractor for trying to pull that shit off on private property. And two, well, we're a little sunny out here and a lot windy. So I expect that tape to get eaten up quite quickly and that thing to last 6 months.
Well,
Again, I'm hoping it's just a template that they're going to, hey, he hasn't complained. We're going to go ahead and fabricate. I'm going to give it a month. And then I'm going to send a picture to that and say, hey, please tell me that this is only temporary.
Well,
I am sure it's not a UL listed assembly.
I was going to say
Keep it classy.
It would have to hold up, and it would have to hold up better in Vegas than that would in Florida in the summertime. I don't know if this is the advertisement or not.
Why would
Hold
you
on.
say that?
It's 2020. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Unemployment's at an all-time high. There's riots and looting in the street. Properties being burnt down. Cars being destroyed. You don't know if you're going to be able to pay your rent, your car payment. Concerned how you're going to take care of your family? Where can you get some money? That's where we come in over at Import Export Steve's Semi-Precious Metal Extraction Company. That's right. You may not be aware, but you are surrounded by semi-precious metals. So in this time of strife, when you're worried about paying your bills, give us a call and we will come out and extract your semi-precious metals for 40 cents on the dollar. Unable to make your mortgage? About ready to move out? Leave it all behind? First, give us a call and allow us to come send our experts over to extract all that precious copper from your walls. We will give you 40 cents a dollar in a market rate. Simply give Import Export Steve's Semi-Precious Metal Extraction Group a call at 239-232-4419. Can't make that card payment? About to have it repossessed? Simply give Import Export Steve's Semi-Precious Metal Extraction Group a call at 239-232-4419. And we will come extract that semi-precious metal out of that catalytic converter for 40 cents on the dollar of the current market value. Simply give Import Export Steve's Semi-Precious Metal Extraction Group a call at 239-232-4419. Nope, that wasn't the one I thought it was. We haven't heard that in a
So
while.
why would you think that would hold up better here than there?
Just because of the dry heat. It's a dry heat.
Nope. We get the most solar radiation in the United States.
Really?
And yes, we do. The Southwest does. I'm actually looking at, from the World Resources Institute, a map. But yeah, I mean, one, we have less cloud cover.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I mean, desert's a desert, man. That you can't escape that sun. I've seen PVC pipe will start turning brown within a year.
Really?
Just from being baked in the sun out here. Yeah, it's bad. Paints fade real quick. That's why I like to park in the garage.
Yeah, clear coats don't last very long out there.
No, they don't. You'll see cars, 10 years old that looks like they're 30. It's insane.
That's
But
the green mark.
yeah. So needless to say, I they're keeping it classy with that. But speaking of classy, we did take a drive out to Rhyolite Ghost Town.
How was that? I saw your
That was
photos.
fucking cool. So, you look at most ghost towns, and they're really kind of small main street.
Mm-hmm.
This ghost town was probably one of the biggest in the late 1800s, early 1900s. The population reached about 12,000, and it was on several acres. Most of the buildings are gone because in true mining town fashion, a lot of buildings are made with wood and canvas, but they did have a lot more actual stone structures built than most others. And there's one picture I had that the old bank that was 3 stories tall. There was an area that was what they called the red light district.
The heat is making me as wet as the thunder showers.
And then it was really cool. Took the doggy out. It was about 120 miles from here, so it was an all-day affair. We went out there. We walked around, checked out the sites, went to this interesting open-air free museum that has these ghost figures that was
saw
made
those
in
are pretty cool.
84. Then they had the Lady of the Desert on her knees, which is a sculpture of a naked lady, including bush, created from cinder block. But anybody who was into that, what's that, Fortnite?
Yeah.
What video game? That's what it made me think of is, the kids would love this. Not that they should.
the young kids, they would love this.
I mean, it even had a butt on it. And, we got to check it out. And we went to the cemetery that was there. And what's interesting is the most recent burial was in 91.
Wow.
So that ghost town pretty much shut down in the early 1900s. It was still kind of, going along because there's, 12,000 people there at some point in time. World War II is what killed it, though.
Yeah, I can imagine. Everybody moved
So
out.
it was a gold mining town. Really, really, really interesting. And there's several movies that thing's actually been in in the past.
Well, that's pretty much probably what it's all used for, basically, nowadays. It's just
mainly a
backselling.
tourist attraction.
Yep.
Here's today's meaningless headlines from social media.
The internet reacts both positively and negatively to Triasia Paeta's recently announcement of being pregnant. The internet is rallying around Kim Kardashian and showing her support after Kanye West's recent slew of Instagram posts asking her to come back and talking negatively about Pete Davidson. Oh, poor Pete. Nothing says Happy Valentine's Day quite like a breakup. Yep, Kanye West and Julia Fox have officially gone their separate ways after less than 2 months of dating. We all agree that the last night's Super Bowl halftime show was iconic, but the thing that people are disagreeing about is whether or not the show was garnered towards Generation X and or millennials. And that has been the meaningless headlines that no one cares about for this week.
So
Mm-hmm.
I was going to announce some of the things that was in. Have you ever seen the movie The Island?
Yes, the old,
Yes,
The Island. That's the one with,
Scarlett Johansson, Ewan McGregor, Steve Buscemi.
no, I was thinking of The Island with, what's his dick from Titanic?
Nope. Not
How many
them.
island
This
movies
was
were there?
Yep, the Cherry 2000, Six String Samurai, Cannibal Corpse Killers, Delusion, Ultraviolet Bone, Dry Psych, a Stephen Wright special. Kind of
Oh, yeah?
interesting. Rough Riders Roundup, Wanderers of Wasteland, a lot of B flicks for
Sure.
sure. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
You ready for, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, ready for the news? Sure.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find that damn commercial.
Joining us now from the Digital 410 West News Desk in Las Vegas, Nevada, Gordon Abernathy.
Gordon, how you doing tonight?
I am doing good, but maybe not as good as ice fishermen or wannabe ice fishermen around the Cleveland area. Good old Ohio.
Yep,
Good old Ohio politician.
yep.
Ohio mayor is concerned that ice shanties could lead to prostitution. Hudson, Ohio, the mayor of the upscale city, there's an upscale city outside of Cleveland, is making headlines again for a remark at a recent city council meeting that allowing ice fishing shanties on the city lake could lead to prostitution.
Did you hear the actual clip?
I did not.
It's hilarious. Keep going. I'll find it.
Hudson Mayor Greg Schubert, I'm sorry. Fuck, we'll call him Sherbert.
Hold
anyway,
on,
'cause
this
he sounds
just
like a
in.
twit.
That's just
This in?
This up to ice fishing.
Yeah.
Well, on the surface it sounds good.
Sure
You know
do.
what happens next year? Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty
Oh, yeah.
on Hudson Springs Park for X amount of time?
Yeah.
And if you then allow ice fishing with shanties,
Catch more fish.
then that leads to another problem.
Walleye depletion.
Prostitution.
Huh?
You've got the police chief and the police department involved.
Is that from TikTok?
Well, the response
Was
you
that
heard.
that guy from Wisconsin?
Well, the response you heard was somebody sitting in front of his TV playing the feed. But yes, that mayor went all over TikTok for, as you heard him say, the problem with ice fishing is first year they go out and they ice fish and catch a few fish, and the next year they want to bring out an ice shanty, and then bigger problems ensue, such as prostitution.
So this is like the world's worst slippery slope guy.
Well, that guy has recently stepped down, but go ahead and finish your story.
Yeah, so well, you pretty much said it all in that clip, which is great.
He actually embarrassed the city so bad that he had to resign for being so stupid. That's a hell of a leap to make.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people...
He clearly does not like ice fishing.
Clearly not. I like the guys like, yeah, what, and that leads to, walleye depletion.
All right, show me on the
Prostitution.
stall where ice fishing touched you.
It's just, people are weird, man.
People are extremely strange.
People are strange.
You ever watch game shows and you see where they win a trip to, and you wonder if
They got
it's either a short trip or somewhere you already live? Pardon me. Boston. Boston.
Your dog from Boston. Where are you, Bebop?
A Massachusetts contestant on The Price is Right was hoping to win a getaway to some tropical locale
Hell yeah.
or fancy, somewhere warm, somewhere memorable
Mm-hmm.
during a recent appearance on the game show. Instead, she won a trip to the neighboring New Hampshire.
Sucker.
Catherine Graham had already won a fire pit and a love seat when she was picked to go on stage to play side by side with host Drew Carey. And he's laughing about this one.
Mm-hmm.
Then she found out she'd be playing for a trip to New Hampshire, which is located just across the border from Massachusetts, where she lives. And she did win by correctly guessing the value of the prize. But she was hoping for something a bit more exotic than going to the live free or die state.
Now,
Which she's already visited a million times.
Does the game show gotta come out and prove that was the prize before she was picked?
I'm not real sure about the side by side. I'm wondering if it's. No, she learned that she's playing for the trip before she started playing for the trip. But you're not going to back out. You're on TV, right?
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering if they said, okay, the next person's up from Boston. Let's give them the New Hampshire as the prize if she wins, so we don't have to pay for plane tickets. Or if there was basically that was going to be the prize of the day, regardless.
I think it was the prize of the day, regardless. I believe that the stars are lined up in a crappy way for her. Because if it wasn't for bad luck, she'd have known it all.
Mm-hmm.
That was an overused phrase growing up.
I'm still looking for that stupid commercial, but I still can't find it. My directories are a hot mess.
Everything's a hot mess, huh?
Well, I have so much shit in here. Well, first and foremost, this computer has 4 hard drives in it. But second of all, just everything, nothing's I need a intern to organize all this shit into.
Why does it gotta be
Why
Florida?
Is it gotta be a tongue twister?
Miami Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Evidently, there was an apparent typo
Miami bitch.
that was sending motorists in South Florida seeking to resolve their traffic citations to a website selling 2024 merchandise for former Donald Trump, according to opinions. Yeah, according to officials. Miami Beach has been handing out erroneous flyers until last week, according to police spokesperson Ernesto Rodriguez.
Ooh, found it.
I did not know how long they had been in circulation. However, we are aware of the typographical error now, which has got to be a major error. And we put out a notice to our officers to discontinue using them. So these are the ones that the cops have where they say, here you go. This is where you need to go to pay it.
That's not an error. That's a disgruntled employee at the print shop. I don't get paid enough for this shit. Fuck this place.
Akin to the guy that was spiking the
You're cool. You're cool.
the Thai
you're
food,
cool.
right?
You're a dick. Fuck you. I'm out. He typed that up on his last day. Probably printed up 83,000 notepads, and then left.
Yeah, the flyer explained how to resolve minor traffic tickets online by visiting the Miami-Dade County Clerk of Court's website. The problem was the web address was printed in the flyer, left out a hyphen. We know about hyphens, don't we?
Yeah, we do. People don't know what they are.
Prompting drivers to visit the wrong website. Now, my question is, if it was a hyphen error, then what is the actual website?
They don't give you the
that's
website?
selling this shit? No, they don't.
Because I'd like to do a better Who Is lookup to see who owns that. Chances
Without
are
the hyphen,
the guy who
address
owns it's the same guy who quit the print shop. I can't fucking see it.
Without the hyphen, the address redirects to a website that sells Trump 2024 hats and flags, as well as DVDs exploring the possibility of a one-world centralized government without Trump in the White House.
Good evening. My name is Donovan 410, and I see the world in crisis. We have governments that are billions of dollars in debt. We have hyperinflation. We have protests. We have riots. We have infrastructure falling apart. We have cyber attacks almost daily on our world's needs. And that's why I want to talk to you about something important, and that is your family's future. when it comes time to protect your family, are you going to rely on worthless paper currency? Of course not. Instead, you're going to call the Digital 410 Reserve, and we're going to sell to you our super valuable silver and gold in exchange for that worthless paper currency. So in the future, when the civilization's falling down and people are struggling to survive, do you think they're going to want to exchange goods and services for your worthless paper currency? Or do you want to have the security of silver and gold? That's right, you want silver and gold. So give us a call right now, and we will happily sell you our valuable silver and gold in exchange for your worthless paper currency. Do it now.
There's no time to delay. Call the Digital 410 Reserve right now at 239-299-3896. We will happily exchange our valuable silver and gold for your worthless currency based on market price minus 10%. I would love to know who gets those phone calls, because I used to put those phone numbers in these ads back when we had a hold on those phone numbers, and then like the debit card they went to got lost or stolen, so I had to get a new one. And so I haven't updated it. So when I used to pay for that phone number through text, now they've released that number. So go ahead and give that number a call. I don't know who it belongs to anymore, but sure the fuck ain't us. Make sure you ask
Speaking
for
of
the...
letting things go that don't used to belong to you but never now doesn't. Remember the days when in school we would go outside in the class and we'd have these hot air, these helium balloons with little notes tied to
Well, I mean,
them.
when we used to mass
litter the
mass
planet.
perform environmental rape by elementary schools across the nation.
Absolutely.
For you young
And
cats,
then you and like maybe one person will get a response out of the whole group.
so for you young cats
You're
joining
leading in
in,
West Virginia.
for those of you who love the environment and join in, you want to know why Gen Xers are so horrible fucks. When we were young, elementary schools across the nation came up with this fun game. The entire school would get together on one day, and as Gordon said, get helium balloons, and then attached to said helium balloon is a lot of times you cut them out as make work in class. Other times is simply a flashcard with the school's address on it and your name. Put a hole punch on it, and you'd all go out into the field and release them into the sky. And the whole thing is whichever student's balloon traveled the furthest and the person found it and put the return address on it and mailed it back, that student would win like a $3 Chotsky prize that was found in the dumpster behind the local Chuck E. Cheese.
And as a kid, I thought it was cool.
We all
Hey,
did.
where can it go?
Oh, we're all looking
Well,
up.
there's a new version of this out of Rye, New Hampshire. A small boat launched in October 2020 by some New Hampshire middle school students and containing photos, fall leaves, acorns, and state quarters have been found 462 days later by a sixth grader in the country of Norway.
And all the rest of them have been found in every goddamn canal, river system, and estuary between here and there.
Fortunately, they're smart enough to have one boat.
Okay.
This was a 6-foot long boat named the Rye Riptides, decorated with artwork from the kids and equipped with a tracking device that went silent for parts of the journey. How much did that tracking device cost? And found February the 1st.
They called it a tracking device, but it was actually a $29 Apple AirTag, and that's why it lost signal out in the middle of the ocean, because the cell phone tower that it uses dropped out. I guarantee it was a $29 AirTag.
Yeah, it found February 1st in Samoa, a small island near Drains, Norway, or is that Drines with a Y? The Portsmouth Herald reported it had lost its hull and keel on the 8,300-mile journey and was covered in gooseneck barnacles.
Ugh, barnacles.
But the deck and the cargo hold were still intact. The student who found it took the boat to his school, and he and his classmates eagerly opened it last week. The school in Norway plans they call with the Ryle Junior High students soon. So that's kind of cool.
Hold on, I gotta.
I mean, at least it didn't end up in the garbage patch in the Pacific, but you know.
Hold on, I gotta research something real quick. I gotta. Greta Thunberg.
Oh yeah.
Where's she from again? Oh, she's from Sweden.
Next door.
Yeah.
They're all of Viking descent, though.
I would just love to if that would have showed up and it brought to her high school. Because she's so.
And final disturbing story that's kind of been playing along.
And
It came in
now, breaking news.
We were having good hopes today, but it may be all for naught because as of an hour and a half ago, the U.S. hasn't verified Russian pullback of troops near Ukraine. Moscow, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Tuesday that he welcomed...
got on this ship anyhow?
Damn it.
Yeah,
I want to say,
He's an asshole, sir.
yes, Vladimir Putin is a...
He's an asshole, sir. Asshole. Major asshole.
Yep.
that he welcomed the security dialogue with the West, and his military reported pulling back some of its troops. Hey, wait. Hey, you two? I need you to kind of go over there.
We moved them back 20 yards.
Yeah. But U.S. President Joe Biden said the U.S. has not verified Russia's claims that the invasion was still a distinct possibility.
Can we change his title to U.S. grandfather or U.S. pappy, something like that?
I thought popcorn was fine. Was it popcorn?
No,
Corn pop.
Corn Pop was the bully who gave him a hard time back in the day.
Ah.
Well, he was the neighbor. Corn Pop was the neighborhood bully, I think, and his
But
whole
if
story is he
was
took
to
Corn Pop
own
out
it
behind
and make it his, he would go by that rhetoric. Or that name himself.
I think Corn Pop's the guy.
So needless to say, we still got some bullshit going on over there.
Bullshit.
The two paths they are saying is still open, but let there be no doubt if Russia commits this breach by invading Ukraine, responsible nations around the world will not hesitate to respond. The question is what kind of response? I mean, when you send 3,000 airborne troops over there, in addition to the 1,400 that's there now,
yeah, it makes no sense.
I always thought they were more of a frontline tip of the spear.
Yeah, they're a
spear.
They're deployed behind the lines, capture a position, hold it until the infantry comes up and takes over. They are not a static. At least they didn't used to be a static police unit.
Yeah. They're saying that they are for defensive measures, but offense, I guess you're going on defense.
Low system resources may affect your audio quality. Must be why you're breaking up.
What's that?
The other computer saying low system resources. How a computer that's doing nothing but running OBS and Zoom has low system resources. Your audio is breaking up. So that's your last news story anyhow, right?
That's it.
This concludes the evening news, and now back to the ACT Computer Studio in Cape Coral, Florida.
Gordon, thank you very much. And that's going to wrap up this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. Thank you guys, each and every one of you, for joining us. And if you haven't done so, please like and subscribe and share us with your friends on YouTube. And head over to what'sinyourhead.com or d-410.com. Click on that Patreon link, sign up. It's only $1.50 a month. And if you really like us, you can do the $7.50 a month plan, which will get you a free t-shirt after week 2. But I want to thank each and every one of you for hanging out with us and joining us for another episode. And don't forget, you can download us wherever fine podcasts are found, such as Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Music, iHeartRadio, etc., etc. But on the behalf of Gordon and myself, we will talk to you all next week.
Don't forget the hyphen.
This has been a Digital 410 production.